I predicted the winner of Survivor 48 by reading the edit of just the first episode. And now, using a whole second episode's worth of content, I am going to see if my predictions were accurate or if my evaluations have changed at all using the newfound evidence provided. Now, if you still aren't familiar with Edgic, basically I am going to provide every castaway in the episode a Edgic ranking. And then, using those findings, I'm going to attempt to create a contender ranking to see who I think is the most to least likely to win the season based on what the edit is telling us story-wise so far. So, I plan to do this every week. This week is coming in a little bit later than usual, but we're going to try to keep it up every week to see what my findings are throughout the season. So, let's just jump right into it to begin the second episode's worth of Edgic rankings. We're going to kick things off first by starting with our eliminated castaway from episode 2. Obviously, spoilers for episode 2 and for pretty much all of at least the new era of Survivor moving forward in this video. So, of course, we have Kevin here, who was eliminated, which was a big shock to me. I did not see Kevin going out this early. I really thought that I wasn't super high on anyone on Vula, but I really felt like Kevin was really the one person that I felt like might actually stand a pretty decent chance on Vula. I really felt like he was far and away my top contender from the tribe. So to see him go out this early is very shocking, especially since I feel like the Vula as a disaster tribe is giving me a very strange edit, and I don't have super high hopes for any of them because I compare them to previous disaster tribes in the new era. You look at disaster tribes like Tika or like Yanu, who produced the winner of the season. They had very big edits. It made a lot of sense. But even you compare Vula to Lulu from season 48, the Lulu felt like it had way more potential, way bigger of an edit, a bigger catastrophic loss, and I felt like coming out of Lulu, I was pretty high on both Caleb and Emily as potential contenders. But I really feel like Vula, by comparison, I just don't see it. I don't see really any storylines being set up on the Vula tribe that I expect to go very deep in the season. I think we're seeing a lot more stuff being set up in the other two tribes, and this whole Vula narrative is kind of feeling like it's getting swept under the rug to me, just because probably most of the members are going to go out pretty quickly, and even the ones that come out of it probably won't be super impactful on the rest of the season, except for maybe one that I'll get into when we get there. But I really felt like if anyone was going to come out of this tribe and kind of absorb themselves into the other tribes and just be a part of the season, I thought it was going to be Kevin. So to see Kevin go out here is very shocking. I felt like he had a very good edit in both episodes. And I gave him a complex personality 4 in the first episode. I think that's a pretty accurate ranking. And I think for episode 2, I'm feeling complex personality again. I'm not entirely sure what tone. I have to think about that for a second. I feel like I don't know if there really was too much tone. I know that like they said they didn't trust him. I mean, maybe is it skewing negative? Are we looking at a complex personality negative for Kevin in this episode? Maybe. But I don't think it was that negative. Like, I mean, I think it skewed negative a little bit. But I don't think it was too bad. So I'm going to, for now, give Kevin a complex personality 3 for episode 2. I feel like he was there quite a bit. I know we saw that people talk about how they don't really trust him. But I feel like it felt a little bit more about saving Say than it did necessarily about really not trusting Kevin. I don't feel like Kevin did anything too wrong. I didn't feel too over the top that I would really give him a negative ranking. I don't think he really had like positive content. Like I wouldn't give him a mixed category. So I think I'm going to give him a neutral tone. Maybe I'll decide to change that to a negative, but I think just neutral tone is accurate for right now. Going from a 4 in the first episode to a 3, I think it's pretty accurate. I think he was in episode 2 a decent amount, but not nearly as much as the first episode. So that's feeling like an accurate ranking to me. So then we're going to jump up to the top of the list and talk about Bianca. Bianca, she is having quite the time here in this episode. I feel like she felt very minimal to me. I'm feeling another under the radar here on Bianca. I feel like we did not see a whole lot of her. I really only remember one moment from Bianca, which was the "she spilled everything" confessional, which was pretty fun, but it was one moment. And it was something, I don't know if it's enough to do under the radar 1. I feel like that should be like reserved for like you get no content, right? That's like if you have literally no confessionals. I forgot to mention, I just started doing this last time. This is only my second time doing this. But I have been thinking about it a lot, and I have been following the Edgic Reddit for some time. So I do know some stuff, but I'm definitely not like gonna get everything right to how some people might predict. So I'm gonna be very confident in my selections, even if I shouldn't be. I feel like another under the radar too. I feel like she had more in the first episode, but I don't think it's enough to knock her down to an under the radar 1. So I think under the radar 2 is how I'm feeling for Bianca in the second episode. I don't think any tone. Yeah, I think that's pretty much where I'm at. Let's put up all the tone stuff up here, just so a reminder, so we know what it looks like. I'm thinking. Let's see. So yeah, we're gonna go with that for Bianca. Let's move on to Cedric, who had a better episode than episode 1. He definitely got an emotional scene of him kind of talking about how he felt bad about losing the challenge, and how he kind of looked at Say as like a daughter figure. So I'm thinking positive tone on Cedric, shockingly enough, despite kind of messing up a lot of stuff. I feel like it ended up being more sympathetic than it did like, oh, he stinks, you know? And it felt like everyone who talked about the situation with Cedric was talked about more in like hey, don't worry about it. Like, hey, it's fine. I'm not going to vote you out because of that kind of way, rather than like, oh, he stunk, right? So I'm feeling positive. The question is it middle of the road positive, or is it complex personality positive? If it's complex personality positive, it's pretty low visibility wise. I feel like we didn't see like a ton of Cedric. So I would either go like a middle of the road positive 3, or complex personality positive 2. Maybe here. I think we're gonna go middle of the road positive. We're gonna go middle of the road positive 3, because he wasn't really in the first half of the episode very much. He got like some good scenes, but I don't know. I'm not super seeing it for Cedric. Maybe that's crazy. Maybe it should be complex personality. You know what? Let's do it. Fine. Complex personality, but we're going to give him a 2. We're going to stick with that, and we're going to go through and we'll see who else gets complex personalities in the episode, and then we maybe dock him down. Yeah. No, you know what? I'm reversing my decision. I'm going back to the middle of the road, and if I decide to give him complex later, then I will. Charity, wow, what a breakout episode for Charity. Big improvement over the first episode. which was felt so negative for her in the first episode, but she really felt much better this episode. Even to the extent, I'm trying to think like if her edit had tone in this episode. I feel like positive tone for Charity, honestly. She felt very humble. She felt like she was, kind of helping Mitch and feeling good about Mitch. Maybe a little bit mixed, because we did hear people talking about how they still don't trust Charity. So maybe we go mixed tone, but I think we go complex personality mixed on Charity this episode. And I'd give her a 3, I think. I felt like this was a good episode for Charity. Much better than the first episode. So yeah, feel good about Charity. I feel like she maybe has more longevity than I expected. And I do think that negative tone from the first episode feels very out of place now, going into the second episode, which felt so focused on her. She gave the title of the episode. So yeah, I'm very curious on where Charity's edit goes from here, because she's a very interesting storyline. To the point that I almost would want to jump from negative to positive in a 1 episode span, but I think maybe mixed, because we did still hear them talk about, I know we heard David say he still doesn't trust Charity, so mixed, but improvement. Chrissy, yeah, I'm feeling another under the radar on Chrissy. I feel like we did not get a lot from Chrissy in this episode. We heard her talk about her belly button, and that was pretty much it. I don't even know if she had any other segment other than the belly button segment. Yeah, I'm thinking the same ranking. I think her and Bianca are twizzed up right now. I'm feeling the same. Yeah. That's how I don't really have much to say about Chrissy otherwise. We'll maybe get a little bit more into Chrissy in the contender rankings. David. Another good episode for David. I feel like David is such an interesting character. I think he's definitely like being painted as one of the bigger characters of the season, and especially of his tribe. I feel like he's been a good narrator of the overall happenings of the tribe mostly. I think we've got a narration from other people, but I feel like David has really been like the all-encompassing person that's kind of really given us insight into like how the tribe as a whole is interacting, how they're all functioning. I feel like I don't think any tone in his edit. We saw him talk about the humble traits and the nipples. We saw him talk about looking for the idol, how he wanted to find the idol. I'm kind of thinking. I hate to give people the same rankings, but I kind of think David gets just another complex 3. I don't see a whole lot of change in edit again for David. We're gonna go with that for now. Okay, here's where we definitely have change going into Eva. I gave her OTTP in the first episode. I know that the over the top picks for Eva and Joe were controversial. I know some people saying they should be complex, or they should be some other thing. I'm gonna stick with it. I feel like, why not? I'm here to have this. I'm here to make this fun. But I definitely feel like this episode was different. I think Eva. I feel like not as much. I kind of think maybe middle of the road from Eva on this episode. And I'm kind of thinking maybe middle of the road mixed, because we heard Stars kind of talk negatively about Eva, but we still heard Joe talk kind of positively. I think mixed tone here. And I don't think complex personality, because I don't feel like it was a whole lot from her angle. It was more stuff about her. but it didn't feel as complex to me. So I feel decent demoting her to middle of the road here. And I'd give her visibility, maybe a 2, middle of the road 2. I mean, she was there. We never saw more of her than Charity and Bianca, but it didn't feel like a ton. Maybe a 3. It's tit for tat. That's a little bit kind of like who knows at that point. So we'll stick with that. We'll stick with that. Joe, another good episode for Joe. I would say another complex episode for Joe. We gave him OTT the first time. I still, honestly, I feel good about the OTT PP pick. I still do, and I feel like well, not so over the top this time, but I still feel like Joe definitely had some really good scenes in this episode. I'm trying to think, would I give him positive? I mean, we didn't hear people still talking about how they trusted him, how he was kind of a focal point of the tribe. I think I expect more positive tones in Joe's future. So I think I might just give him a normal complex right now. We'll just give him a normal complex, and we'll give him a 3, a complex 3, which I feel like, to me, feels like the normal ranking. I feel like that feels like the standard ranking to me. I use a lot of complex 3s, which I don't know if I should be using that many, but that's what I've been doing. So we're going to stick with that for Joe, I think. Yeah. So we're going to Justin. I'm thinking, you know what? I might bump Justin up to a middle of the road for this episode. We got a little bit more. I know we heard him talk about like the flies. A little bit more of him strategizing, but still didn't feel like a ton. I still wouldn't give it any tone. If I'm bumping up to middle of the road, I think I give him a 2. If I stuck him at under the radar, I might give him a 3, but I think I'm going to stick him at a middle of the road 2. I just feel like there's not much there for Justin when there really could be a lot more. It just doesn't feel like a ton. Camilla. Camilla's interesting because I feel like she had a lot of screen time in the episode, but it was mostly like the one scene. But we did hear her talking about the video game stuff. Honestly, like, as much as I want to give her middle of the road, I think I'm gonna give her complex personality because we did hear about her background and kind of how she's using that in the game. I'm feeling complex personality positive on Camilla, honestly. Like, people talked about trusting her. Yeah, I don't know. That might be wild, but that's how I'm thinking. Complex personality, positive. Either a 3 or 2. I'm gonna give it a 2 because it was less than the first episode. I gave her a 3 the first episode, so I'm giving her a 2 here, which is low for a complex personality. But I feel like that's accurate because I do feel like what we got from her was complex, even if it was not a whole lot. So I'm gonna stick with that. Then we move into Kyle. Kyle obviously found the idol in this episode, which is huge for Kyle. He had a wart on his finger, supposedly. But I still feel like this episode, I feel like this was not a Kyle-centric episode to me. Especially coming off of the premiere. I don't know if I would give him complex, honestly. I don't feel like I learned much about Kyle in this episode. I guess I learned that he trusts Camilla. But other than that, it didn't feel... I feel like I'm giving out a lot of complexes already, and I don't want to give out too many. So I'm feeling middle of the road on Kyle, honestly. I think maybe just a standard middle of the road here for Kyle. But I'll give him a 3, middle of the road 3. Yeah, I don't think it was a 4, but he was there, right? I haven't given out any 4s or 5s yet, though. So I'm gonna have to think about that. I'm gonna have to think about who I might bump up to a 4 or 5. But maybe we'll get there when we get there. Mary, this felt like another middle of the road for Mary to me. Not a ton. Honestly, I think I'd give her the same ranking as Kyle. I'm trying to think if there's like tone here in Mary's edit. Uh maybe mixed tone. I don't think it was negative, was it? Was it negative tone for Mary? I mean, we heard that Say doesn't like Mary or trust her. Maybe we go mixed tone just to spice it up a little bit. We give her a middle of the road mixed. And we'll give her a 3. Why not? Sure. This is fun. I have no idea if any of these rankings are good, but that's just it's my gut instinct. Mitch. Whoa, big episode for Mitch. Mitch, I've seen a lot of pollings that Mitch was voted like player of the week, which I don't know about that. I feel like that's a little extreme as much as I love Mitch. Mitch is on my draft team, as I said the first time. But I mean, is it over the top for Mitch? Oh, we're looking at an OTTP on Mitch. Am I crazy? I kind of think so. I feel like there was a lot of Mitch here. Even, I mean, I don't know if he necessarily like did great like strategizing, but like he won the challenge. He crushed the challenge. He had the scene with Jeff asking him about the how to help him, if people should help him or not when he needs it. We had him talk about charity. Say, yeah, you know what? The charity scene talk about Mitch and how much good he was. I'm thinking of an OTTP. I think it was a little mixed because we did hear a little bit about like David talk about how maybe they need to vote out Mitch because he's aligned with charity, but I still feel like there was so much gushing positivity otherwise that I don't want that to muddle this. So I think I'll give him an OTTP 4. That feels accurate to me. Good episode for Mitch. Man, my draft is killing it. I've got all 3 of my Eva, Joe, and Mitch all got OTTs so far. Okay, Say, a cool down episode for Say. But still not that much. I still feel like we got a decent amount of Say here. I'm feeling mixed tone because I still feel like we got negativity on Say, but not like a ton. And there was also positive stuff about Cedric talk about trusting Say, Justin talk about trusting Say, but then you have Kevin and Mary, Kevin and Mary talking negative about Say. So I think we'll look at a mixed tone here. I'm thinking a complex personality mixed tone here on Say. And give her a 3. I think the same as Charity. Yeah, that seems accurate. I honestly would maybe even give her a 2. No, I think 3. I don't think it was that small of an edit for Say here. She was there, but this was an improvement, and I feel like an episode that Say needed to potentially project longevity. And we'll get to that when we get to the Contender Rankings. Shaheen. Great episode for Shaheen. We heard a lot from Shaheen this episode. We heard him, kind of like Say trusted him. People trusted him. He was I felt like he was like the good guy to Thomas's bad guy in a way. Good cop, bad cop. This is tough. I'm trying to think. He had the lightning port scene too. Whatever. What was that? The Probsty Wi-Fi scene. I don't know if I would go OTT on Shaheen. I don't think so. I think complex. But I really don't know the tone. I'm leaning positive tone for Shaheen. Because he was like kind of the foil to Thomas. But I think maybe just I think I'm just gonna give him a straight tone, neutral. But we're gonna give him a 4 because I felt like we saw a lot of him in the episode. Great episode for Shaheen. Yeah. Star. We're gonna give a complex. The question is it complex negative or complex mixed? Okay. This is a hot topic. I feel like I'm trying to think, was there positivity? I mean, I feel like there's positivity of her from her perspective of being an underdog. But I still feel like you saw a lot of people not wanting to work with her. I think I'm going to go mixed. I think we're going to go complex mixed. And we'll give her a 3. Yeah, that feels accurate to me. I think so. And finally, Thomas. Who I am breaking out a new thing for. We're giving it a complex negative. Which is a lot of complexes in one episode. Feels like maybe a little too much. But I just think it's true. Yeah, I don't know. I think we're looking at a complex negative. Maybe a middle of the road negative. Okay, hold on. I want to break out the complex negative here. I really do, because I haven't used one yet. But is it middle of the road negative for Thomas? No, because he went on the journey, and that's another thing. Complex negative. Right? Maybe mixed, but I want to use the negative, okay? Because I haven't used it. So we'll give him a complex negative. I felt like he was a villain. I'll give him a 3. We saw Shaheen saying, like, oh, Thomas is a player. He's going too far. I feel like Thomas is being set up as, like, the foil of the tribe in a way. I feel like he is being set up to kind of be, like, the villain that might break up the California Girls Alliance, or maybe, be a foil in something. Maybe they'll get rid of him, or he'll get rid of them. Whatever it is, I feel like he is the source of the tension in that group right now. And yeah, that's how I feel. So that is our rankings. This is all of our info for the second episode. We have all that to consider, and we will move in to the next segment, which is our contender rankings. So here we are. We can bump that up because we no longer have Kevin in the game. And so we can, well, I guess we'll just copy and paste when we feel. Actually, no, we'll do this. We'll go like this and paste that there, and we'll drag that up. Bam. Okay. And then we'll move them over into episode 2 when we are prepared. So let's start with who I think is at the bottom. I believe I'm moving Bianca to the bottom. Bianca's edit is lacking. She is just not getting a lot. I just feel like it just feels like it's not looking good for Bianca to me. Yeah. More than Genevieve, maybe. But, I mean, like, at best, she gets a Genevieve story in this season. But I just can't see her winning based off of these episodes. Unless, all those wild, crazy, Edgic speculations about Genevieve last season end up coming true for Bianca. She's going down that lane. I just think it's not looking good for her right now. After Bianca, I would maybe put Justin. I think Justin is back in second last lane. Yeah, I feel like again, it's just not looking good for Justin. It really is not. It really is not. He has been such a crucial vote in these episodes, despite not barely getting any content. It feels like Justin's such a powerhouse. Not really a powerhouse, but like a really crucial person in these councils. And is, in a sense, I feel like Justin's been like the person that basically decided who went home in the last two episodes. Like he was the swing vote both times. And yet we barely heard anything from him. So, better than Bianca, but like, not looking good for Justin. I mean, and Bianca is on the tribe of people that like everyone's getting a ton of content, and Bianca's the one person that's not, which it makes it worse. Justin at least has the benefit of his tribe just isn't getting very much content, but his tribe keeps going to council, so we'll put him in second last. And then I'm looking at Chrissy and Star as the next two rankings. Honestly, I feel like Chrissy has had good content. It's been positive. I'll put Star next because I still don't really think Star's gonna win. She was introduced last in the premiere. This was a better episode for her than the premiere, and I feel like I can see a potential like underdog narrative for her. You know, maybe she could be do like an Andy or an Emily, I guess. But I feel like she's not even being set up in the way that those two were. You know, like I just feel like she's there, but not that much. I feel like maybe the underdog narrative is better than Justin and Bianca, but not by much. And I'd put Chrissy next. Yeah, I feel like it's not much from Chrissy. I feel like Chrissy seems to have been positive, but I also think she's just like a positive, jovial person. But her edit has been very minimal, so yeah, not much for Chrissy. And then I'm gonna go Mary. I feel like things are not looking good for Mary. She's in a really tough spot. Honestly, I think we're keeping this the same with the Mary Cedric thing here. I'm out. Okay, I'm out on Green Team. I'm out on Vula. I don't think Avula's gonna win. I'm pretty confident Avula's not gonna win at this point. And quite frankly, you know what? This is a bold move. Say getting dropped down to 10. No, actually, that's not true. That's not true. I'm gonna move Say up. But I do think that this is my bold prediction. Okay, bold prediction of the night. Okay, this tribe, it's going downhill. Okay, it's going downhill, and I know, I'm not gonna talk about any leaks or anything like that. But I know there's been speculation of a potential swap in the season. It could happen. It happened for Lulu. It could happen for Vula. So if that happens, maybe they stand a bit of a better chance. But I kind of think this tribe is going downhill. None of them are really very important at all in this game. And I think, quite frankly, we're going to see all of them get eliminated very quickly. I think it's possible if there's not a swap, even if there's a swap, it's possible too. But I think especially if there's not a swap, that this whole tribe's going to get picked off. I don't see them winning any challenges, especially without Kevin, who I know he had a dislocated shoulder, but still, he was by far probably the best of challenges on the tribe. So, and Cedric even said so in the episode. So, yeah, I think it's not looking good for this team at all, and I think that we're going to see, I think, bold prediction, if there's no swap, Mary, then Justin, then Cedric, Say, at the merge, the only Vula making it to the merge, Stephanie LaGrossa style. She's going to be the last one standing. That's my bold prediction. And that's what I thought immediately after the episode. That was my prediction. And then I started to see this, people theorizing maybe a swap. I hadn't even taken that into consideration. So if there's a swap, obviously that ruins that theory. But I still think it's possible. Because I still think Say's the only one with an edit that feels like she's meant to be a significant character in the season. I don't think anyone else is meant to be significant at all. And I think Cedric feels like he would be the last victim of that tribe getting picked off before, other than Say. But even then, I feel like maybe Say's just getting on that content just because you got to show someone on that tribe and you don't want to show anyone else. I feel like we've lost 2 people on the tribe that felt like bigger characters than the ones that are left. So, yeah. I move Say up. I think Mary... Oh, jeez. I do not feel confident in Mary. I do not. I feel more confident in Cedric than Mary. But, yeah. Honestly, I might even put Mary below Chrissy because I really don't see it for Mary. I just think things are not looking good for her. It's looking so dire. I'll keep it the way it is. But I don't feel good about either of them. I'll put Charity above Cedric. I think this was a big improvement for Charity, and I thought maybe off the first episode, I was like, maybe we see a Charity like kind of Venus arc in a way, and I think in some semblance it's doing that, but like way better. Like honestly, way more positive. I still wouldn't put her super high in the rankings, but things are improving, and I could see Charity building something. That first episode I put it pretty low, but I think there's groundwork there that she could end up being a much higher contender later on in the season. And then I put Say, I feel like, Say's obviously a very big character. Could she win? Maybe. I don't super see it, but it's possible. And then, let's see. Then we have the rest of these people that have to decide. I think... you know what? This might be crazy. Is that crazy? Is that crazy to put Kyle there? I'm starting to feel like Kyle's content is circumstantial. And I don't want to be blinded by the Kevin content, which was circumstantial. Kyle, sure, he found Idol. Sure, he did this stuff. But I don't know. I don't feel like the narrative is there. And I feel like the narrative is him passing good stuff on to Camilla, but not really, stuff isn't really going on to him, Yeah, I don't know. That might be crazy, but I'm putting Kyle there. Yeah. That's what I'm sticking with. And I think, okay, this is my next bold prediction. Okay. If I'm wrong about the Vula getting oolonged, I think we look at what happened last season, okay? TK won the Tribe Supplies in the kind of new Sweat vs. Savvy challenge, and he was voted out the next episode, second. This season, Kevin won the Sweat vs. Savvy challenge, got the supplies, and was voted out second. Right? Last season, Asia lost the Sweat vs. Savvy challenge and was voted out third. So guess what? If the pattern continues, Kyle lost the Sweat vs. Savvy challenge and he is getting voted out next. Boom. Bam, read it and weep. You heard it here first. If Kyle is voted out this Wednesday in episode 3, you heard it here first. I can see the pattern continuing. I think it's possible. That would be rough for Kyle. Voted out with an idol. I don't think it's going to happen, for the record. I don't super see that going that way. But you never know. You never know. Maybe Mitch blocks his vote and something crazy happens. You never know. You never know. So I'm moving Kyle down, but I think Kyle could go back up. We'll see how it goes here from Kyle. And then I'm going to put Mitch. Good episode for Mitch. Like I said, a lot of positive stuff for Mitch. I honestly, I don't super see Mitch winning, but I do feel like it's possible that like the stuff of like people kind of maybe underestimating him a little bit and talking about like how they kind of want to vote him out because he has his connection to charity and whatnot, and him being on the outs. It felt better for Mitch than it did for charity, and I feel like it's possible that story could lead to Mitch being like the winner that overcomes the doubt of his tribe mates. Mitch might go back down again in the rankings. I feel like I don't know. I don't super see it, but this was a good episode for him, and I think it's definitely possible. I think I'm gonna bump Eva. No, yeah, I'm gonna put David next because I feel like we've heard from David quite a bit. He feels like I said, he feels like a big narrator, big personality of the season, but I don't think he is. Oh, geez, I don't know. I feel like with David, I feel like he has sort of had this narrative of wanting to like kind of get something done, and he wants to like prove himself in a way. And we've heard him talk about that a lot. We've heard him talk about that with trying to get the idol, and we saw in both the episode 1 secret scene and episode 2 secret scene of him talking about how he wants to prove himself. First episode, he wanted to prove himself by starting the fire without a flint. He couldn't do it. He failed. Second episode, he wanted to prove himself by catching fish with the fishing rod. He couldn't do it. He failed. And I'm torn on how I feel about those scenes being cut. Because in some way, him failing is being cut from the narrative. So maybe they don't want to showcase David failing. And they want to make it seem like he is more viable than he is. But I still feel like this narrative feels like it's leading to a downfall to me. But I do think he's still very high contender, and it could go towards a winner scenario. But, yeah, that's how I feel. I'm conflicted on David, and I'm interested to see where David's storyline goes from here. I could definitely see David moving up to a bigger contender in the future. Which leaves us with 4 Lagi left, because I'm gonna be straight up, y'all. I really think Lagi is winning this season. I mean, this tribe is so complex. If we're talking complex tribe theory, that is Lagi. I mean, they definitely feel the most complex to me. I feel like we've learned so much about a lot of them, and I feel like these 4 are so big. So I think I would put Eva next, because I think things have gone down for Eva. And similarly to Mitch, I feel similarly to Eva about Mitch. I don't really think that she's winning the season. I was very vocal the previous episode that I do believe that in terms of like the Joe Eva dynamic, I believe that Joe will be the one that outlasts Eva, and Joe will have to let her down at some point, and then try to go on to like avenge her in some way. I know that some people think that the narrative is leading towards Joe sacrificing his game for Eva. I view it more as Joe needing to avenge Eva at some point. But I do still think Eva's got a good narrative, but things were more negative for her, more mixed for this episode. I honestly, maybe she should even be below David, but yeah, I feel similarly to how I feel about David there. So that's why I'm putting her. And then the next one is tough. I honestly, I'm going for the memes. Okay, I'm putting Camilla next. Good episode for Camilla. We saw from her. Like I said, Not as much as the first episode, but I still feel like, we saw from her, positively talk about the video games, talk about solving the idol. She got like this special edit scene. I feel really good about Camilla. I really like Camilla. I really hope she goes far. Uh, I maybe see more like, I could see like losing finalists potentially in her future, but I definitely see longevity in Camilla personally. And I saw it in the preseason and I still see it now. So I'm very high in Camilla. I'm going to bump Thomas down as well. Like I said, Thomas feeling a little bit more like the villain of the California Girls, but as you have probably noticed, I'm putting the California Girls in the top 3, and that might be crazy, but I really feel like the California Girls are taking this thing, man. It feels so strong, and all 3 of them are so strong. I feel like I feel very similar to the California Girls, that I felt like how things were being set up for the Reba 4. Honestly, even more so, because even the Reba 4 had Julie, who felt like she wasn't as much part of the narrative. I guess this is only an alliance of 3, but even then, this alliance of 3, I feel like all 3 of them are so complex, and we've heard so much from all of them. I'm putting Thomas 3rd, and I'm bumping Shaheen up to 2. This was exactly the episode 2 I needed for Shaheen. I was worried that Shaheen would overplay himself early on, and he is absolutely proving me wrong. Shaheen is having a great story out there. And like I said, I feel like he was kind of proved the foil to kind of Thomas's more villainous plan in this episode. He was painted as more the reasonable person, not necessarily the hero, but just the middle ground. And then I feel like Joe is the hero, Thomas is the villain, and Shaheen is kind of the glue guy in between them. And I feel like I can definitely see longevity. Honestly, what I just said, I feel like is really profound in a way. That was a freaking awesome point. Joe is the hero, Thomas is the villain, and Shaheen is like the middle. He's the yin yang in between them. And I'm keeping Joe at my top pick. I think Thomas wanted to throw away the clue. There's negative for him, but I also think that like things are looking better for him in terms of like he got the advantage and he's not telling anyone, which I think is very smart. Shaheen had a great episode. He had the Wi-Fi scene. He had the helping a star. Big episode for Shaheen. And then I got Joe at my top spot. Joe is my winner pick, and I am ride or dying for him. I'm feeling so good about that winner pick. I feel like Joe has had, to me, definitely my favorite scenes in both the first episodes. Obviously, the first episode, it was the Joe and Eva scene that I thought was so fantastic, especially Joe's confessional in that scene was so profound and really meaningful. And in this episode, we had the really awesome scene of when Joe was tearing up the coconut and kind of talk about how everyone trusts him and he's kind of made all these alliances with different people and he doesn't know which way to go, and he's kind of like mumbling to himself about how he doesn't know what to do as he's ripping these coconuts. It felt like this like grand like Shakespearean scene of like conflict. Like this was like Hamlet, like ripping coconuts. Like that was an awesome scene to me, and it's really building Joe as like a big like leader, like forefront figure. And I get why people like would doubt the potential for Joe to be able to win the season. Is it too much? Is it too over the top? Maybe, but I'm not gonna let like doubt based on previous winners change things. I'm going based off of just my gut instinct on the specific person and the edit of this season, and I think Joe's getting a great edit, and I have great feelings about his potential in the game. So sure, have people like Joe won recently in Survivor? No, but that doesn't mean that I don't feel really strongly about him and really strongly about his scenes so far in the show. So that's it. That's the rankings for episode 2. I feel pretty good about it. We got some changes, some shifts, but overall, not a whole lot of too terrible changes. We did lose Kevin, obviously, which was a big loss based on the first episode. But yeah, I feel pretty good about those contender rankings, and I am yeah, I'm excited for the season. Had a great, good fun with this episode. Honestly, this season has turned out pretty good. I'm really excited to see where especially the Logi tribe goes from here. And yeah, I really appreciate all of the people that turned into the first episode of this. It did really well. I really love to have the conversation with people and hear what people had to say about it. So thank you all for watching. I hope you keep turning out, because we're going to keep doing this throughout the season. And yeah, this is super fun. And like I said, I would love to do it for our Australian Survivor. I might do that later this week if I have time, because that season has been really great so far as well. And yeah, and this one was not live. Last week I did it live, streamed on YouTube and on Twitch. This week I didn't have the time, so I just am doing it recording. But maybe in the future it'll be live, so keep an eye out for that if you want to tune in live to chat with me as I'm doing my contender rankings and Edgic ratings. And yeah, keep an eye out. Press that subscribe button if you want to see more. I really appreciate it. And keep checking back in on the channel to see where my Edgic rankings go in the future. Joe, all the way, baby. Win the season. You heard it here first. Thank you all. I've been North, and I will see you all next episode. Stay frosty, y'all.